welcome back to another episode of Foster Talks. So I have with me author Harsheath Chauhan, the very young and vibrant, the author of Kaliyuga. Harsheath, the book has been a phenomenon on social media, Amazon, everywhere. It's a pleasure to have you on Foster Talks today. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you? How's being in India? You just flew down for a few days.
It's been absolutely amazing to come back. The weather has been a bit more forgiving than the last time I was here. So that's been great. It's been great to meet family and friends. And I feel like because of me being an author, I have built a community and I've been meeting so many people. This time will be the hardest to go back to college and finish off my last semester. And I just can't wait to be done with it. Even though it's a beautiful, beautiful campus and a beautiful place.
So what's your plan after college?
After college, I want to come back to India for good. And I want to focus more on writing.
Wow.
I do want to be involved in the socio-political, social justice space in some shape or form. I don't know what that really looks like right now. Having said that, the writing won't stop. I might be taking a break with publishing, but the writing on online platforms or just writing for myself, that won't stop. That because of this book has become a part of my identity now, I feel like.
No, it has in fact. Even I saw your latest few of the reels that you've put up on social media, and this was talking about some of the socio-political justice related topics that you've been covering in. So what's your inspiration? Like, how did you start becoming, and I wouldn't call it an activist, I mean it's technically not an activist, but then how did you pick these up? Like, what inspired you?
Like the social justice aspect of it? So when I was 14 or 15, I went to a boarding school and it's been an amazing experience. It's what I call it is the Hogwarts of the Himalayas. The school is Weinberg Allen School. Amazing, amazing experience. But everything that's good has a negative side to it. And at that time, for a little bit, it did have that. So there was a culture of systematic bullying, which even the administration was struggling with. The students, they learn it from the seniors before, so then they do that. And now we're staying with them and they are in positions of power like prefects and captains. So me being a new student at the age of 14, I started speaking up about that a lot. That landed me in a lot of trouble with those guys.
Of course.
And it will be too graphic and I don't want to talk about a sob story, but long story short, I had to face a lot of physical and mental bullying. And it was in the form of, let's say, if they have an issue with me, they will start punishing my classmates. So it's the mob mentality then. Then you're turning the other people who might be my allies against me. Or you said something against somebody in power, that's not okay. And that's the kind of message that was being sent to me. Oh, now you're saying this and this, now we're going to pick on you for every single thing. Like if you don't have your shoe polished or something like that. And then I realized that this is a part of the system entirely. Not only in schools, this is in colleges, any kind of leadership position, maybe in corporations. And politics necessarily, yes. And I was seeing similar patterns of student activists raising their voice and all of a sudden you're anti-national, just like I was anti-school. That's where my interest in politics peaked. That what is this pattern? What are these things in society that are forcing us to take criticism seriously to the point that we just think whoever is criticizing us is now against us? And that's been a big part of the reason why I'm into social justice or activism, even though it's just for now been writing about it. It's not been a lot of ground level work, which I want to do as soon as I'm back. So that's the story.
Oh, that is actually, I mean, brave from your part, but at the same time. But then again, coming back to your school days, being in Weinberg Allen, and that's Missouri, right?
Yes.
So from earlier, some of your content, I also came to know that this is one place which really helped you connect with literature, reading, writing, and all of that, right? So how has that been? When did you start writing?
I started writing when I was 6. Maybe even before that. I don't have a memory of that. But the first memory I have is writing short stories since I was 6 years old. kept writing in a school I used to attend in Delhi. And there, the teacher was very discouraging, I'd say, because I scored low marks on English because my writing style was not adhering to the curriculum. My short stories are not short, or the grammar for the story's sake is not following those guidelines. Because of that, I'm scoring low marks. And because of that, they were saying that English is not my cup of tea. And that really, really demotivated me. This wasn't really the reason, but the next year I went to Weinberg Allen and I wrote a story, and it had all those, let's say, flaws according to the education system here. But the teacher was very, very encouraging. She said that this was an amazing story, one of the best she's ever read. Yes, it doesn't follow the guidelines. And she pretty much put a proposal in front of me that continue with this writing, do it in your free time. I'm going to teach you how to score those marks in boards or in our exams. That's not, those 300-word short stories, that won't make you an author. You have something in you. I will give you side assignments. I will tell you how to keep writing on the side, creative writing. So that was really inspirational. Sometimes at that age, it just takes one person to demotivate you, like I once was, or it takes one person to really, really encourage you.
Bring you out.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Hats off to your teacher. It's very rare to actually find educators like that. Ultimately, this is what we want to find in education, but somehow I think we all get stuck in that systematic education and curriculum and literally kind of forget to actually empower kids. But that's brilliant. You've been lucky in that way as well. So since then, how has the journey been? So that was a good encouragement. Did you continue with short stories? Did you try writing a book? How did Kaliyuga come into being?
Kaliyuga came into play. So on December 20th, 2011, I had a dream. I literally had a dream, and that's something I've loosely mentioned, referenced in the book, and that's what birthed the idea of Kaliyuga. And that's the moment I knew that something needs to happen with this. My skills weren't at the level where I could write too much. I would try to write stories here and there. I used to play with action figures a lot. A lot of my storytelling I credit it to playing with action figures and creating the stories, to the point that even now I have my action figures and I use them because it helps me visualize and helps me get into the mind of my characters. So I'd been doing that for a few years. My last year of school, I heard of this 21-year-old author called Kevin Missel, and he's written a book about Kalki, a theme that I'm very interested to explore at that point of time. So I go back, I go visit him at a book event or something. He's a shy author standing in a corner, a poster of Kalki. Maybe 2-3 people are there. This is like his first few days. I think maybe I was one of his first few hundred readers or something like that. And he really encouraged me. He was in touch with me for a little bit, maybe because I was one of his first few readers. I was very enthusiastic. I told him that, am I permitted to write a story about Kalki because you've written? I didn't know copyright, or will you feel bad? Or he said, you have this story, go for it, go ahead. So instantly, Kaliyuga actually at first started as a fan fiction of Kevin's Kalki. Then he read it and he's like, this is a different story altogether, and that's not bad. Make it that different story. There's something in this.
This is at what age? Like, how old were you?
I was 17. I'm 23 right now. So that stuck with me. I went off to college the year after 12th ended. COVID happened. 1 year lockdown. I wrote a 50,000 draft and then I read it. 50,000 word draft and I read it and I absolutely hated it. So I put it to the side. I was like, I cannot do this. It was like, I would equate it to the new Kalki movie that's come out. Great concept, phenomenal plot, terrible execution. That's how I felt with the first draft of Kaliyuga. I wanted to do justice to that. I put it to the side. Lots of things were happening. And then again, I don't want this to be a sob story, but long story short, I had some sort of an identity crisis at that age. Because 2.5 years, I was stuck in this small college town and my identity was intertwined with, let's say, toxic relationships and friendships or leadership positions. Like I was the vice president of so-and-so and the president of this, and I was a member of this, and like my friends were these, and this is who I was. Like me, without any of these things, who am I? I never thought of that. I only thought of that when it was either by choice or by force, those things went away.
Okay.
And then I'm left with that sort of identity crisis. Okay, for the longest time, I thought that this is who I was, and now I'm not.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was like a low phase of sorts. And I locked myself in a very aesthetic room for 8 hours. I remember the story in my mind, 50,000 word draft that I worked on. I locked myself in this room and I wrote for 8 hours consistently. It didn't make any sense. It's gibberish. Like if you read it right now, you'll think it's a madman who wrote those notes.
Okay.
If I read it, even if it's disconnected, even if it doesn't make sense, it makes perfect sense to me. I know what frame of mind I was in. And that's also kind of when I started getting into spirituality and meditation, because I understood the power of the mind.
Yeah.
In moments when you're like just very low and you find this new thing to like kind of cling on, mind is very powerful. It can literally create things, and I literally could imagine what it would be like if these characters were like to come alive, because 8 hours without food, without water, just writing in a very emotional state, I could see it literally manifest, as crazy as it sounds.
Wow.
At the end of that entire 8-hour session, I wrote a small note to myself that I might not be in this frame of mind later. This might have been something emotional. This needs to happen, because this was so magical. This needs to be out in the world. This just cannot stay contained here.
Whoa.
I took a break from college.
Yeah.
I went back to home for 5 months, Mussoorie, Himachal and Ladakh. I wrote 70% of the draft at Weinberg Island. The principal was kind enough to help, like let me intern there. And I would sit in different places and write the draft. And within 5 months, I was done with Kaliyuga. So with the second draft of Kaliyuga. But it was magical. Like something just snapped and I could write very easily.
That's beautiful, because I wanted to ask you about your spiritual journey as well, because not just because the book is something related to mythological, but it's your journey as well. You've been talking a lot about Hinduism, about spirituality, about meditation, about yoga. You've been a runner, you go to gym, all of that keeping aside, you at the same time are a huge promoter of spirituality and yoga for that matter. So I actually wanted to come back with those questions, but now that you brought it up, I'm actually very curious. How did your journey with spirituality start in? Because now that you've written a book about it, I know this has helped you out in your literature writing style also, but where exactly did that journey start from?
It started when I was a very young kid, when my parents introduced me to stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, the children's versions. My bua, we used to have like play pretend to be Ram and Ravan and these characters, and we would build up the stories. That way I was understanding their psychology. During my teenage years, I had a phase of atheism. I've referenced that in one of my recent posts as well.
I saw that.
And the reason I was becoming an atheist, or was a pronounced atheist, like proudly, you know how teenagers are like, I am an atheist now, nothing's going to change my mind. That was because I was seeing that in the name of religion, there was a lot of nasty politics that was happening, a lot of division. And I'm not saying Hindu, Muslim, anything, just globally, that's been a trend. And that's been a trend for thousands of years. It's something that I started noticing in my teenage years, but it's been something that's been going on and on. And me being slightly less mature at that time, I confused this orthodox extreme version of religion to represent all of spirituality and divinity. And that's what I needed, like, because I did not have the capability to think in a very nuanced way. That was it for me. I was introduced to Shashi Tharoor's Why I Am a Hindu. That really opened my mind again, because he helped me understand that Hinduism is an umbrella term for multitudes of traditions and cultures that have existed in our subcontinent for thousands of years. You could there are no prophets, no set belief system.
It's more than just a religion.
Exactly. And you could, it's termed a way of life. That really spoke out to me. So I wouldn't necessarily say Shashi Tharoor helped me or he is the reason or that book was the reason. That book just ignited that spark in me. Now, after that whole identity crisis thing that I was talking about, that's when I started exploring these concepts for myself. And that's when I understood that India has always been a land of seekers, not believers. So I won't blindly believe anything. There are things that, as crazy as it sounds, I've experienced and seen through meditation or running or swimming, and I've attained these altered states of consciousness, and I can with full confidence say this is what happened. But if you ask me, do I 100% believe in it? No, I will never 100% believe in anything. I will keep seeking. Even if I say that yes, there is God, yes, these are the reasons that that divinity exists, keep questioning that. That is the entire point of that spiritual journey. Because if we stop questioning and if we believe this is it, and then that's just it. And
that's beautiful.
Now I've started to think about it in various different ways, and the more you question, the more you're consistent with it. It's just basic discipline, just sitting, meditating, all of that. The mind is a powerful place, whether or not there is a God out there. If through those tools of, let's say, an idol or a temple or powerful Sanskrit mantras which vibrate in your body and have this crazy phenomenal feeling, it's just, it can't be described in words. It's something that needs to be, it needs to be felt.
I believe it. I mean, I'm a yoga practitioner myself, so I completely get what you're talking about. But then it's beautiful because I kind of, when you told me about that 8 hours, which you literally shut out from everything and then you're there writing, this is technically what you call meditation.
True.
That is what you actually did inside that room. You connected with it, you found your voice, found your energy to actually do the things for you, and you manifested. And that's what you have it here today. Beautiful journey, Harsheath. I mean, that's really nice. Now, coming back to your book. When I read the book, I think I've pinged you this on Instagram also in a chat form. The book reminded me of a nice Christopher Nolan movie because the plot, the way your storytelling was, it was like that. It was actually like that. It was like as good as watching a Batman movie. It was good like that. Your storytelling was very intriguing and interesting for me at the same time. What helped you in developing yourselves as a writer? And how did you choose your style of writing?
You answered it yourself, Christopher Nolan. And that's why I was so hyped when you told me that, okay, I had got a Christopher Nolan vibe. He's been a big inspiration.
Amazing.
So many themes, like the Batman trilogy, let's say. This character, Gautam Yadav, in the next book. This book is mostly grounded. He's training, all of that. The next movie, the next book is inspired from the Batman trilogy in the sense that there's this character who himself wants to bring justice, bring change, but there's these overwhelming forces that are stopping him. But in an Indian context, in a slightly political, social justice context. So that it can connect and relate with readers. And I myself used to think that if we have a vigilante who is actually taking down bad guys, what would it be like? And Batman trilogy heavily inspired the second and third books. And also Gautam Yadav, the character, he has a no-killing philosophy. It sounds very basic in movies and books, like, oh, this character does not kill. Why does he not kill? What is it in his mind that there's like his sister as a character was killed off, and he had the opportunity to exact justice. He could not do it. Why is he not able to do it? Those kind of things come from Batman. Inception is all about the dream world. It's about the dreams within you. The Swapnalok is a realm in Kaliyuga, which is the dream realm. So what that basically means is that through dreams, these characters can literally create worlds where there are training. And this is not Christopher Nolan, but this is a reference to the Assassin's Creed game series. There's a concept of the animus. So basically what that means is that if you were to go into the animus, you can access the memories of your ancestors. Within a week, you can live the life of one ancestor. When you're living their life, whatever skills they learned, whatever knowledge they have, now you have it. So why the Assassin's Creed Animus concept helped with Swapnalok, and it was a beautiful integration, was because the character does not have a lot of time to train. Let's say that. So in the Swapnalok, integrating that Animus concept, 1 month will be 1 year. 2 months will be 2 years. So within, let's say, 5 months, he's a fully trained combatant, and it helps with that whole timeline. I now don't have to show for the storytelling purposes, okay, 5 years he was training, or 5 years later, I'm actually showing the training.
Yeah.
It's in a short period, but
capsule format.
Yes, but it's actually something really big. So
no, that was actually very beautiful, because when I started reading the book also, when you started introducing the reader to Swapnalook, you were like, okay, what exactly is going to happen there? And even I had this question, dude, this guy, the main character, he's supposed to save the world.
Yeah.
But why does he have the time?
Yes.
He's a nobody.
Yes.
He's just a nobody. And how am I expecting this person to evolve mentally, physically, be stronger? I don't know what all to be thinking of it. And then when you introduce the concept of Swapnalook, it was mind-blowing for that matter, because I'm like, okay, this is a very interesting concept. So I admired your way of writing when you did that, because I'm like, okay, this is a crazy take on stuff. Because I watched Inception, I watched all the Batman series, but yeah, the Assassin's Creed bit that you told right now, I'm new to it.
Okay.
I've never watched, so yeah, so that entire part is completely new to me, but brilliant take.
Thank you.
But then at the same time, as a reader, when I'm reading it, I felt that the book is a little complicated.
Yes.
It's tough.
Yes.
It's not an easy read. It's amazing as it is, but then it is taking time. It reminded me of the Dan Brown books, or however you want to call it, but it was complicated.
Yes.
Even my mom, for that matter, she has a habit of stealing books from my library. So she tried reading Kaliyuga, but then she kept it back, telling it was a little too complicated for her. Was this by choice? Like, is this your writing style? Is the new book also going to be that? Or did it just happen?
So this is a little bit of the criticism that I've faced as well.
Yeah.
And some readers have told me that readers are looking for something fast. Like, action is happening really fast. Kaliyuga, the first half is following a multi-linear narrative. There's this character in 2012, this in 2017. Now you're in 2000. You as a reader now have to keep track. Now I'm giving a job to a reader. Readers sometimes don't like that. And that's not anything against them. Like, you're looking for something like action, and that's also fine. This is my writing style, yes, but this is specifically my writing style for just the first one, which was very, very necessary, because it was very important to have this multi-linear narrative. The readers will only understand once they reach to the end of this book. Or even with book 2, because all these characters do come together. All these characters have their own personalities, and potentially, hopefully at some point, will have their own spin-offs. So some readers have mentioned it to be the curse of the trilogies, and they've compared my work to that of Akshat Gupta's with The Hidden Hindu and Kevin's Kalki trilogy. That the first one is merely setting up a world, and now you're done with it, and now you have to wait for the second one, which is what sometimes readers have a problem with, which is why they're very eager to know what's next, or sometimes they don't even want to finish the first one. But that's even with the curse of the trilogy applies to Christopher Nolan's Batman. Batman begins amazing plot. He trains, he does all this, he saves his city. But it's not until Dark Knight that we get Heath Ledger's Joker, and that's when, oh wow, like Batman is good, but Dark Knight is on a whole other level.
Different level.
And that's how I would compare book 1 of Kaliyuga and book 2 of Kaliyuga. It's book 1 is good. I like it as the author myself, but I knew that the story is so much bigger than this. The second one and the third one, which I've planned in my head, those are going to be phenomenal. That will literally be like the evolution from Batman Begins to The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, now I'm very much intrigued as a reader, because for me this itself was amazing. But like I said, it was complicated. But then a Nolan movie is not for everybody. Who likes it, likes it. You cannot please every single person with the kind of writing. But then again, brilliant work. I am completely in awe with that. But then again, coming back, Kaliyuga, you already have it. You are planning on your 2 and 3 and everything. But apart from that, how is your writing journey going on? What does your writing journey look like, and what is the future of it?
Kaliyuga helped me convince my parents that I am a serious writer. So now they were willing to let me add an additional major into my college studies and major in creative writing as well.
Amazing.
And they were willing to let me transfer to a very radical experimental university from the one that I was in before. Yes, it takes a little extra time because not all your credits transfer. But this university, it's called Naropa University. It's in Boulder, Colorado in the US. I have many criticisms about it, like I do with everything, but I absolutely love that place.
Amazing.
That's because the writing program there is something like I've never seen ever before. They're basically the first half of the program, you're unlearning whatever you've learned. Grammar,
Good.
spellings, everything,
Yeah.
forget it. You want to put Hindi, you want to put Sanskrit, American audience does not understand it, too bad.
Yeah.
You write, you do whatever you want, experiment with poetry, which I struggle with. So they told me, you're a prose writer, you've written a book, thumbs up, write poetry. I don't write poetry, too bad. Now you have to write poetry.
Oh, wow.
So now they're forcing me to express myself in lesser words. It was very frustrating at first, and now I love poetry. I don't know to the point if I would publish poetry ever, but I'm putting it out. I'm performing on stages, and people are really enjoying it. I could write, let's say, I performed about the divine feminine. I talked about sensitive issues that women face in, let's say, marriages or just in society. I could write a book about it, which encapsulates it. I could write 3 books about it. Can I maintain the essence of that in 15 lines? That was a challenge. That was something I did during what's called a summer writing program, which is basically 12 hours a day. You're writing, you're attending sessions, you're writing, that's it. Again, forget everything and remove restraints, because throughout our lives, we put some kind of restraint. Like, let's say, political correctness. Or if I say this and it sounds this way, maybe defamation, or abusive language, that's bad, or maybe don't be too gory, don't be too descriptive. I had all these restrictions in my mind. They're like, forget that. Let people from the audience leave if they can't handle it. That's okay. That is the purpose of writing. Writers are revolutionaries before. As Shahid Bhagat Singh said, a writer, a lunatic, and a revolutionary are all made of the same stuff. So that's those that 1 year that I've spent there right now, my writing has gone to a whole other level. As you were saying, a Nolan movie is not loved by everyone. I'm not comparing myself to Nolan, but I'm using that as an example that maybe that radical experimental writing won't be loved by everyone. But I was surprised that yes, there are some abusive DMs that I get, or threats, or all that kind of stuff. I was so surprised by the amount of love and support I got from people, because I was speaking to something buried within through restrictions. That, oh, we can't say this, we can't mention it this way. Oh, if a guy is talking about women issues, now he's a pick-me, or all those kind of labels and stereotypes. And I just go up on stage and I am saying things which I would not have a year ago, and I'm shivering and I'm almost breaking down. And as a famous author, Neil Gaiman, once said that writers should be willing to do the equivalent of walking down naked a street, which does not mean go down, walk naked. Be completely vulnerable in front of your audiences. Just put yourself out there. Worst case scenario, like you lose a few followers or readers or whatever. Be authentic.
Be true to yourself.
Yes,
your
and
ideas.
everything else follows, and I've been seeing that.
That's beautiful. That's brave. More than beautiful. I mean, that's brilliant. That's amazing. Good luck with that journey.
So much.
That's really good. So, Harsheath, I also, one last question to you is, now that when the book was out, one thing I saw you doing a lot, you were a hardcore promoter of your books. Even right now, you're literally wearing your t-shirt. You've done a lot of stuff, because this is something very surprising that I've seen your books in almost every single bookstore. And I'm not talking about metropolitan city big bookstores. I'm literally talking about bookstores in the corners of the corner. And I also know the part that you have manually, like a backpacker who's doing an Indian tour, you've visited bookstores, you've done your bit of promotions, you've literally run in the US wearing your Kaliyuga jersey.
Yes.
How has this journey been like? I mean, writing is one part, but then what always authors come back? So why people like us exist is authors come back and tell, I know to write, but I don't know how to market my book. But then you've been a brilliant marketer of your book as well. So how has this entire journey been like?
Thanks. I didn't think I was capable of doing that, of marketing or doing any of those things. New Voice Press, Hubhawks, the team helped me a little bit in the sense of helping me record some content. If you see how I was talking in front of a camera a year ago compared to how I do now, like I'm literally shouting, I can be angry, I can express these range of emotions. I was just a shy, timid kid. So that helped me, that gave me a platform, yes.
Lovely.
But I did go a step ahead from that. I don't know, I have an issue or a love-hate toxic relationship with marketing because at times it feels pretentious, it feels fake especially when money gets involved in the way of talent. That's what pinches me. Fair enough, we live in that environment. Now to thrive, I need to be here. I need to market through these platforms which sometimes will require that money. And thankfully, I have that privilege. What else can I add to this journey? Does it just have to be, okay, I'm giving these many copies to somebody in a bookstore and paying this amount, please keep this over here. Or now will it also be, I'm visiting the city, I'm visiting these readers, let's connect, let's talk, not only about the book, let's talk about meditation, spirituality, about working out, running, let's form those connections, let's actually think beyond Kaliyuga. Yes, I want to market this. I love this book a lot. This book is merely a medium for me to help in a social justice, socio-political way. But even removing all that, it's just a way for me to connect with people and help people. That doesn't necessarily have to be something grand. A reader could be having a bad day and they feel comfortable enough to be in my DMs and they could talk to me. And this is a reader maybe I have never talked to before. And I just spent 10 minutes. That's what someone sometimes need. Again, coming back to it, being as authentic, as genuine, removing most of your filters, not all filters all the times, but just being there for people, connecting with people, talking to them. Some of my close friends now are from this, let's say, Bookstagram community or putting my content out there and then they reach out to me and then we're becoming friends. It's not just transactional anymore that, oh, you showed up to my event, oh, thank you so much, this is my book, this is a signed copy. We're becoming friends and even more than that. And that's kind of the community that I'm seeking at a time when talent is decided by money for the most part, whether one wants to deny it or not.
Good or bad,
So, yes.
Oh, that's really nice. I mean, I love the thought process that some of the things that you were telling me literally gave me goosebumps also. It's inspirational to be that matter. But good luck to you,
so
Harsheath. The journey has been beautiful so far. The way hearing about your journey, I only have seen these in social media, following your posts, following what you've been writing. And yes, your writing has evolved. I've personally noticed
Thank
it.
you.
The way you write the short post right now, your captions on your content, they've evolved. I completely agree to it. So I've just been an observer, but now hearing about all of these from you directly, it's been an honor. It's been really good listening to you today. Thank you so much for being part of Foster Talks.
Thank you.
I would love to see the remaining books coming out and I would love to see you growing as a writer. Good luck to you with that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. Have a good day.
You too.